Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and welcome to a Game Week 33 free hit draft video. The video where I'm going to be showing you what I would do if I were to free hit in Game Week 33. Now, I don't actually have any free hits left, guys, but I know a lot of you guys do. I know a lot of you guys are not particularly well set up for Game Week 33. You want to use those chips in these remaining game weeks. You've saved your chips. Fair play to you guys. So, yeah, I'm going to do my best to give you that team that is hopefully going to be the one to use in Game Week 33, and you can maybe have a tinker with it depending on your budget and stuff like that, and hopefully it's going to be really, really good. So if you do enjoy this video, guys, please do leave a like and please do subscribe, of course, if you're new around here for FPL content pretty much every single day. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's get on with it, guys. So guys, I've somehow managed to do a team value of exactly 100 million. So I'm hoping most of you guys will actually be able to afford this team. And if not, you know, there are a few shortcuts you can take, a few players you can maybe take out and reduce the budget there. Or, you know, you can improve the budget. And we'll talk about that in a little bit later on, of what kind of players you can kind of upgrade if you have a little bit more money, what kind of players you can downgrade if you don't have the money. We'll talk about all of that. But we're going to stick with 100 million basic, the basic budget right now. And we're going to do captains at the end as well. So let's start you off in goal, guys, and we're going to go for Kasper Schmeichel. I always almost say Peter Schmeichel, but it's definitely Kasper Schmeichel. Now, interestingly, Leicester have actually improved their defence a little bit. They kind of got a 0-0 in the Europa Conference League. They only conceded one goal to Crystal Palace, and that was a penalty as well. And they've actually had a few kind of better defensive results, and I think that's in part due to the fact that they've got a lot of their defenders, not just centre backs, but you know, they've got James Justin back, you know, Johnny Evans, Fofana. They've got all of these defenders back, which is really, really amazing, and that's going to really improve their defence, because over the long term, you don't really consider Leicester a particularly bad defence, so they are really improving in that regard, just because they've got all these players coming back, and that's going to be really good for them, and that is going to spell clean sheets. Schmeichel is playing pretty well at the moment. We saw that he saved a penalty against Crystal Palace. I know the rebound went in, but that's another situation completely. But we've got two fixtures here, Newcastle and Everton, and although they're both away games, they are pretty nice fixtures. These are not two teams that score a huge amount of goals. So we can really see a clean sheet here. You know, you would hope really that there's one clean sheet in here, you know, a couple of save points as well, maybe the odd bonus, and we're absolutely laughing, and Schmeichel will be the best goalkeeper to have in the double game week. You know, we are hoping for a decent amount of points from here, even if he only keeps one clean sheet. So Schmeichel, absolutely love him for this double game week. He'd definitely be my number one pick for the week. Into defence, I'm actually going to start you off with Fabian Schär. I know he's kind of a cheap kind of defender who you're probably not thinking about too much, but guys, even if you are not on a free hit, this seems to be the one player who I would definitely be bringing in. I know a lot of you guys are going to be looking for Doherty replacements, for example, because he is injured. He's going to be out for the rest of the season, unfortunately. So you're going to be looking for those replacements, and Fabian Schär seems to be the perfect pick, really. Leicester, Crystal Palace, 2 games at home. They're not bad fixtures. You can see, again, you can see a clean sheet potentially here. But what we like about Schär, and I've spoken about this a lot, is that he is taking a lot, you know, he's taking shots on, he's driving up the pitch, he's you know, the target man from set pieces. He has taken some free kicks as well. So he's got quite a lot of different ways of actually getting goal returns as well as the clean sheet. So he's not really typical of a centre-back, because he's actually got quite a few different avenues of getting points, considering he's a centre-back. Super cheap as well. You know, if you know, you could just go for him and pad out the rest of your squad by going for some slightly more expensive players. It allows you to get in some extra premiums if you just go for these cheap defenders, and I really like him, not just for free hitters but for non-free hitters as well, because I really think he's going to be one of the best scoring defenders this game week. And I'm going to put in another double game week defender here in Telus. So we know Shaw, he's kind of injured at the moment, and you know, Telus is going to be nailed on pretty much for at least a good few weeks before Shaw comes back. And we've got this nice fixture against Norwich at home. Now, I know Manchester United have been a little bit disappointing in times, but if we are going to go for a defensive Man United player, I believe Telus is the best one to go for. He carries the most goal threat. He takes, you know, a lot of set pieces. He is fairly attacking as well. So this is nice. He kind of takes on shots. He creates a couple of chances per game as well for his teammates. So overall, there's lots of different things to like about Telus, and he's super differential. And because you're on a free hit, you don't have to keep him for the long term, because he's perhaps not a player you'd want for the long term, but certainly for one game week only, you want to take a punt on some different players. We've got this Norwich game at home. You would really, really hope that Manchester United do keep a clean sheet in that game. Maybe the Liverpool game is going to be a little bit more difficult. We do know that. But certainly the first game against Norwich, you really hope that United can get a clean sheet in that game, even if they don't completely blow Norwich away. A clean sheet is bare minimum in that game, I feel like, for Manchester United. So, you know, There'll be this Norwich game, hopefully a clean sheet, potential for goal returns, just because he's making crosses, taking shots on, and taking set pieces as well. There's lots of avenues there. And also, we've got that Liverpool game after, which, it gives you maybe, as long as United can keep the score fairly low, at least it gives you maybe an extra point or two, potentially. I don't know. But yeah, that Norwich game is the main target, isn't it, really, for Telus. And we're going to finish off the defence with Cancelo. Obviously, he is a single game week player. I honestly, guys, one thing I do want to warn you about going for a free hit this game week, and it's why, I'm not too worried about the fact that I'm not free hitting. So I know I don't want to lower the confidence or anything, but there are a few players this game week that could potentially score well, even though they're on a single game week that you're not necessarily going to go for. Cancelo, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Robertson would be examples for defenders who you'd think actually would do quite well this game week. So, maybe go for a Cancelo. If you don't want him, you can go for a Robertson or a Trent Alexander-Arnold. If you've got enough, budget in the bank to upgrade Cancelo to Trent against Manchester United, maybe you do that instead. We know that could be potentially spell some good returns there as well. It could happen with Liverpool. We know how good Liverpool are. So, yeah, you've got some options. I'll put Cancelo in this team, though, because I don't want to say he's cheap. He's cheaper than Trent and Robertson. He's got the better fixture than Trent and Robertson as well. So, yeah, we've got Cancelo in here for now. And I just feel like he is one of those players this game week who is, particularly if we're talking about defenders, he's going to be one of those players who actually, despite having a single game week, is probably going to outscore a lot of the double game week defenders. And you can maybe say, oh, actually, I don't want Telus. I want Cancelo. I want Share, Cancelo and Trent. If you can afford to do that, then, yeah, I can absolutely see why you would do that. But for this purpose of this video, I'm going to try and keep the budget reasonably low so most of you guys can afford it, and then you guys can make upgrades of your own after you finish watching the video, I suppose. That's going to be kind of in your hands. But yeah, like I say, I'll keep making suggestions as we go through. But yeah, Cancelo, I think he'll do really well, even though he's got a single game week against Brighton. I know Brighton beat Arsenal, but that's not saying too much at the moment. Yeah, home game, clean sheet, all but nailed on, and always the potential for an attacking return when we're talking about a player like Cancelo. And then after that, it's bonus points, isn't it? So easily 12 pointer for Cancelo, really, in game week 33, so worth keeping in your team. Let's move on into midfield. We have got Bruno Fernandes. He is a player that you probably were thinking was going to go straight into this team. I think a lot of people are thinking, okay, for this double game week, what are the main premium players we're going to be targeting? Potentially Manchester United here. This Norwich at home game is the main target, and although Manchester United were not good against Everton, they were actually at least creating a few chances, and fair enough, that not many of those chances went in. Yeah, that's an understatement. But, Pickford had a reasonably good game, made some good saves. So I don't know. I think that in another game, a game against Norwich, Manchester United can turn it up a little bit. It's a double game week as well. So even if you don't get anything against Liverpool, if you can just get a basic score against Norwich, even like what's the minimum we expect for Fernandes against a Norwich? Like what? Like a 5-pointer or something like that? Absolute minimum. Probably more like a 6-pointer at absolute minimum. Then after that, we've got a Liverpool game. 2 points for that Liverpool game as well, assuming he doesn't get any returns. And suddenly we're looking at an 8-pointer as a very, very basic level score. As a base score, 8 points is pretty nice, really. So, yeah, if you think that Manchester United can do well against Norwich, and you're happy to just take essentially a couple of extra bonus points when Manchester United play against Liverpool, then Manchester United players are definitely worth going for ahead of some of the single game week players. It's a good fixture and it's a double game week. It's not an amazing double game week, but it's half an amazing double game week, if that makes sense. It's kind of like a 1.5 game week. That's what I like to call these ones. 1.5 game weeks, this one for Manchester United, but still worth a punt anyway. Next up, we have got Maddison, who is playing pretty well for Leicester at the moment. Yeah, pretty well indeed. He's getting goals, he's getting assists. I know the last assist was a little bit of a ghost assist, but he seems to be in really good form at the moment, and he's definitely a key player for Leicester. Now, Leicester are going to rotate a little bit, but you kind of look at these fixtures, Newcastle and Everton, and you kind of want to be on this Leicester team in some capacity, don't you? So whether that's a Maddison or a Barnes, you want to have that Leicester player in there. So we have gone for Maddison just because he is in really good form right now, and I think he's going to do well. But do keep an eye on his minutes on Thursday. If he plays too many minutes in the Europa Conference League, then there is a chance that Maddison doesn't play both games, and in which case, maybe it might even be worth going for a single game week player over Maddison. But, you know, the form that he's in, the decent fixtures, the fact that it's a double game week, we do want to have at least a little bit of a look at Leicester. But in this team, we're going to have more than a little look because we are doubling up on the Leicester midfield with Harvey Barnes. These are the two Leicester midfielders I would go for in this game week. Now, Barnes, I know he didn't actually start last game week, which was kind of probably a little bit disappointing for a lot of you guys who do own Barnes in your main team. But in game week 33, because he's had that rest in game week 32, even if he plays a lot of minutes in the Europa Conference League, I would still be pretty confident that he's going to play in game week 33, perhaps both games. Like, he could easily play both games because he has had his rest. He's had his rest in 32. He's going to play, you know, certainly some minutes in Europe, and then he's going to be available enough to keep playing more and more games because he's had his rest now. Maddison is not quite the same. Maddison has not had his rest in a couple of weeks now, so it's going to be a little bit different for Maddison. But Barnes, I think you can actually go forward with a degree of confidence. And that doesn't just go for free hitters, that also goes for non-free hitters as well. Again, keep an eye on minutes in Europe, but if Barnes plays, you know, 70, 75 minutes, 80 minutes, I think you're absolutely golden for the double game week. I really do. I would even consider buying him in your normal team if you're not free hitting as well, guys. So take note. We are going for the double Leicester midfield in this team, though, because you don't know who's going to score out of the two of them. And over the course of two games, it's probably going to be a bit of both. There's going to be a bit of Maddison doing some bits. There's going to be a bit of Barnes doing some bits. To have them both, you cover it both. And I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that double up whatsoever. There's only a certain amount of double game week teams to actually pick from this week, because some of them we're not realistically going to pick from. You know, Brighton, for example, we've got two super hard fixtures. You know, Man City and Spurs, both away games for Brighton, so they don't even count, and there's not really too many other teams to pick from in terms of double game week teams. So yeah, Leicester are one team that we would want to target. That's why we're going to go for a triple up. We're going to go for Maddison and Barnes. They're two most nailed on players. They're two most nailed on attackers, you would say. You know, Iheanacho, Daka. There's going to be some rotation there as well. Maybe you can think about Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, but I don't know, you know, if you're on a free hit, you may as well spend a little bit more money. You have that opportunity to go for the slightly more aggressive picks who are going to do a little bit better. I know Dewsbury Hall had a good game, but don't get too drawn in thinking that's going to happen every week. It's not. So Maddison, Barnes, love it. We're going to go on to Bukayo Saka next. A player who is been Arsenal's best player. I know. I mean, it's not even, he hasn't even looked bad recently. It's more that Arsenal have just been bad and Arsenal have just kind of been disappointing. But when are Arsenal going to get back to winning ways? You have to say it's going to happen eventually. And honestly, in this free hit team, I don't have as much confidence in Arsenal as I perhaps did a week or two ago. Because in this free hit team you're seeing in front of you, it's pretty Arsenal light, actually. It's not got too many Arsenal players. So in that sense, you can kind of see maybe our confidence is waning on Arsenal. But we do want to have a little nugget of Arsenal. And if we are going to have a little nugget of Arsenal, going for their best player or their best outfield player, whatever you want to say, he's probably the best way to go about it. He's a good price. You know, we've got the Southampton game. I know Southampton had a very, very big loss against Chelsea. I'm not going to say that's going to happen again, but you at least acknowledge the possibility that Arsenal are going to maybe inflict a little bit of damage. I know maybe you think that Southampton are going to, have a bit of a response there, but Arsenal equally, you think they might have a little bit of a response there. I don't know what the scoreline is going to be, but at least we know that Southampton are capable of conceding a lot of goals. So you do want to have a little bit of Arsenal attack in there, and like I say, Saka, if you're going to go for one Arsenal attacker, your answer is Saka. There you go. There's a little tagline for you. And we're going to finish off the midfield with a single game week player whose name is Heung-min Son. A player who is just doing absolute damage every single game week. And free hitters, if you're free hitting in game week 33 and you've been a Kane owner in your main team and you haven't had Son in your main team, now is your opportunity to actually go for Son and hope that he outscores Kane again this week. If I'm completely honest, I would still say that if you have Son, keep Son. If you have Kane, keep Kane. But if you're a Kane owner normally, the free hit is an opportunity to jump ship and come over to Team Son for one game week only and just kind of see how it goes. Maybe that's too scary. Maybe you'll just want to stick with Kane. But Son, because Son is just a little bit cheaper, it does allow you to spend a little bit of money elsewhere as well. So that is definitely something that you kind of want to consider. And there is actually attacker. There's actually forward options this game week, which is interesting. It's not very often that we get forward options, but this game week actually we kind of do. But Son, yeah, absolutely, he's in such amazing form right now. He seems to be the main player to be scoring goals for Spurs right now. He is the guy making those runs. He's the guy playing the furthest forward, whereas Kane is dropping that in a little bit deeper. He's got Kulusevski there creating for him. The fullbacks creating for him as well. So everything seems to be landing at Son's feet. He seems to be the primary attacker right now for Spurs. We kind of thought it would be Kane, but that's kind of shifted a little bit recently, with Kane taking that creative role again, which is he is fantastic at. So yeah, Son is very much the guy at Spurs right now, which is really fantastic to see, and long may it continue. Let's go up front, guys. We've got Cristiano Ronaldo, who I actually think is the best pick of the week. I was actually considering bringing him into my actual team. I don't have a free hit, but I was considering trying to bring him into my actual team. The only problem with me doing that is it's going to cost me a few transfers. It's going to make me have to lose Son as well, or Salah, in order to do that. So I'm not fully confident I can do that. Certainly for the long term of my team, it will cost a lot of transfers. I'll be removing players I actually like, and I definitely want to be reversing it after. If you're on a free hit, you have this fabulous advantage of picking players that you don't actually want to keep long term. You can have the player for 1 week only, and Ronaldo is perfect for that. Really perfect. So yeah, definitely would be having him in my free hit team. Norwich at home, surely he is going to score some goals in this game. I know he looks a little bit off it against Everton, but you think of a couple of weeks ago, before his illness as well, he was absolutely tearing it up against Spurs. 3 goals, hat-trick in that game. Can he do the same thing against Norwich? He is the guy who has this ability, who has this possibility. Manchester United are a much better team. They have much better players than Norwich. That is a fact. And Ronaldo is the main man, the main target man. He is fit, he's available, he's going to be playing every single game because Manchester United desperately need to at least put in a challenge to get top 4. It's still possible for them. It really is still possible. So, yeah, Ronaldo is going to be playing. He's going to hopefully tear it up against Norwich. And then after that, you just take a couple of points against Liverpool. Just the 2 points for playing against Liverpool. But you never know. You never know. You could even get a goal against Liverpool. It's possible, guys. It's possible. You've got to bear in mind that possibility. And we're going to finish off the attack with Wood. So we're going to have Wood up front. He obviously scored a penalty goal in last game week, in game week 32. But he also did have a goal disallowed in game week 32 as well. So he could have actually come away with 2 goals, and that would have been quite nice. So we've got a bit of a bandwagon going on for Chris Wood, if we're honest. But I think he's an okay pick. I mean, again, it's a lot to do with the fixtures, really, isn't it? We've got Leicester and Crystal Palace, 2 games at home. That is really nice to have 2 home games for Newcastle. We know Newcastle have been kind of really needing these home games, and we kind of saw, they kind of nicked a nice 1-0. I think they're going to keep the scorelines fairly low. I don't think they're absolutely going to batter any teams, but if one player is going to score a goal, I think it's going to be Wood, certainly ahead of Sam Maximan. Wood is kind of, in the box. I think he had a really good game in game week 32, to be fair. He created a really decent chance, which was unfortunately not a goal as well. So, yeah, I think Wood is, if you're going to go for an attacker from Newcastle, there's no Fraser. Sam Maximan is kind of a little bit out of form. He's making a lot of dribbles. He's been, he's trying to be a kind of half a creative player, half a dribbling into nothing kind of player at the moment. He's obviously a really, really good player, but it just seems like when we're looking for direct goal threat, because remember, we are looking for goals really when we're looking at strikers. If Sam Maximan was a midfielder, we would probably be going for him. Because you get extra point for a goal, you get clean sheet points, which I think will be involved. I just don't really know where to go in the Newcastle attack. If you have to go for a Newcastle attacker, though, I think Wood looks like the most likely player to score goals at the moment, and he's got those penalties as well. We know for sure now he is on penalties, so that's really nice to see. 2 decent fixtures, both at home. I think he's actually going to be a pretty decent pick. I'm not expecting anything amazing, but if he scores 1 goal in either of these games, then just through the bonus points and playing 2 games, he's going to be getting a 10-pointer immediately, which is just a fantastic score in FPL, isn't it? And finally, guys, let's have a look at the bench. So we've got Carson, just as a 3.9 million goalkeeper. In a double game week, I don't think you need a backup goalkeeper because Schmeichel is going to play both games, and even if he doesn't, you know, he's going to play one of the 2 games. There's not unless he gets injured, which we will probably know about before the deadline. There's no real chance of him not playing either of those games. Like it will only happen if he's injured. So easy decision there. Just go for the 3.9 goalkeeper. If you have a little bit of extra budget, fair enough, upgrade that. But you know, I think we would be better off spending a little bit of money outfield this game week. We've got Charlie Taylor for Burnley. He plays against West Ham and Southampton. He's kind of the one of 2 backup players for this team. You know, Burnley are capable of keeping clean sheets, even though it hasn't been looking absolutely amazing recently, to be honest. But they are capable of keeping clean sheets, and maybe they claw that back. I've got Cedric in here. I'm not feeling too confident about the Arsenal defence at the moment, but he's 4.2 million, so he's really, really cheap, and he's going to be nailed on whilst Tomiyasu and Tierney are out. If either one of those players are out, and both of them are out at the moment, he is going to be playing. So even though I'm not super confident about a clean sheet, he is 4.2 million. That's really cheap for an Arsenal defender, so he's kind of a second backup as well. And finally, I've got Locadia there, who plays for Brighton, except he doesn't play for Brighton because he left Brighton, but he's 4.4 million. So really, really cheap player because he's only 4.4 million. That's the cheapest forward in the game at the moment, I believe. So another way of saving a little bit of money and allowing you to spend more money on your outfield players. Like I said, I was going to kind of mention how to downgrade a little bit. If you want to free up some cash, you can maybe downgrade Cedric even more and just have Taylor as your one backup. If you want to spend more cash, the players I would kind of be looking to upgrade is maybe Telus, maybe upgrading him to a Trent or a Robertson. I think that could be an option there for you if you wanted to go for an upgrade there. But also, I don't know if you have to go for Son necessarily. I don't know if you have to go for both Fernandes and Ronaldo. I don't think I'll be considering, you know, Sancho's and Rashford's, if I'm honest. I'd much rather have Fernandes and Ronaldo, but I do think there's options to go for a Kane against Brighton. I think there's options to go for a KDB. De Bruyne against Brighton, that's a pretty nice fixture as well. We've got an option to go for Salah against Manchester United. There are some different options there. If you have the budget for it, there's a lot of single game week players who I think could do really well. I would say these are the best double game week players to go for, but just don't completely ignore the single game week players. It is it could end up being a bit of a trap game week for a free hit, to be honest. Just if a few of those highly owned single game week players bang, you might be in trouble with a free hit. But, you know, this is what free hits and chips are about. It's about taking a risk and trying to, you know, close a big gap and try and make a real big rank swing for yourself. And I think you can very much do that with a free hit. And the way you do that is by maximising the amount of fixtures that your players play compared to people like me who don't have so many double game week players. So it is possible to do something very, very good with this, and I think you can do it. I want to go very quickly on captains because I don't think there's much to say. Like I did kind of mention earlier, I think Ronaldo is the best pick this game week. He would be the first name on my team sheet if I was making a free hit. So we are going to captain him. Hopefully he gets a goal or 2 against Norwich, and then just pick up even as little as 2 points against Liverpool. And you're looking at 10 points, 15 points, like just from that, just from a couple of goals in the first game and nothing in the second game, you know, with bonus as well. So that'll be pretty nice, really, if you think about it like that. Fernandes, let's put the vice captain on him. He's got similar fixtures, I suppose. You know, I'm not bothered in double game weeks. There's not really much point in splitting your captain and vice captain because at the end of the day, they're not both games are not going to get called off, are they? And the only reason we put our vice from a different game, from a different fixture, is just in case the game gets called off. We're not going to have 2 games called off this game week. I mean, we haven't had one called off in forever now, which is fantastic. So don't really worry about that, guys. But there we go. That is going to be the free hit team. There are options for upgrades. There are options for different captains, I suppose. There are options to bring in more single game week players, but I would definitely be trying to maximize the double game week players as much as you can. Guys who are not on a free hit, this is kind of what you're looking at as the ideal team as well. So maybe you want to consider a couple of these players to bring into your own main team as well. And that is pretty much it, guys. Hope you like the team. Let me know what you think of it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy what you saw today, please do leave a like and please do subscribe if you are new around here as well. I would massively appreciate that. Like I say, we do FPL content pretty much every day. We're going to be doing a strategy stream at some point today. I don't know when. It'll be later on at some point this evening. You know, if you're watching this on Tuesday as well, go check out last night's strategy stream. That will be hopefully a really good one because I'm going to be talking a lot about what I'm doing with my own team and how I'm going to be trying to push into the top 100 and trying to potentially try and win FPL. I know it's really unlikely, but you have to, I think you're going to have an idea of how you can possibly win the whole tournament. So I'm going to try and explain how I could possibly try and do that as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. See you on the stream, hopefully, whether that's live or on the replay. I'd love to see you guys in the comments and stuff. And there we go, guys. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.